So I want to remind you of an event that happened 125 years ago this September, and that, of course, was the 1900 Galveston hurricane. Some 8,000 to 10,000 people lost their lives. You can't fix a problem unless you know the cause of that problem.
The humanities enrich our comprehension of a shared history. What is the role of collaboration across disciplines in responding to environmental issues in the Gulf region?
What we need is one another. So a few years back, Weston and I started organizing these Gulf Coast Connections meetings.
One of the things that we've been working on is the Creative Gulf Network, what art could mean in the context of art-science collaboration, engaging communities in critical areas in the Gulf South.
We've been working out ideas for bringing folks together that are already doing the work of arts and sciences across the Gulf region.
I think that the art community can really contribute kind of a different lens to the work that we're doing.
We're building networks which hopefully will form into actual real-world tangible solutions.
But we also find it really important to allow people to kind of connect and to converse with one another in really kind of urgent times with really urgent problems.
Art as ideas, art as social interactions. When we think about social practice, we are thinking about ways of making change in the community and with the community.
My sole identity is that of an artist, of a listener, of someone who makes live performances. A lot of times those different things get expressed through projects that some might call art. You know, some might call community building, some might call organizing.
I just really get excited about dialogue and new ideas or old ideas that have a new view. Of course, anything related to the Gulf of Mexico is important, and everybody's connected to it in America through the watershed.
Instead of staying in New York or in New England, I thought it would be great to move down to the front lines and see what kind of positive change I could make with those communities.
I'm focused on sharing the restoration work that's being done in the Gulf, the deep coral communities that were injured by the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010.
I've used art making as a tool to try to make sense of my community. This little place that I call home is really reflecting a microcosm of realities that are happening on a planetary scale.
Artists are like water. They find their way. They're driven to find their way. Normally in a situation like this, I come to learn, to listen, but unlike any other time, there's a certain urgency.
At a gathering like this, I feel like my role is to take it back home to my community in Miami, right? Because what a lot of the folks here have been talking about, which is art as an ability to transform and to imagine and to sculpt that future that we're desperately in need of.
What is the importance of collaboration across disciplines?
The act of doing things together, it highlights that point that everybody is community, everybody is a stakeholder.
The richness of the design studios is really about preparing and creating the next generations of architects, design professionals, urban planners to visualize and prepare solutions across the Gulf region.
I think the creative trigger really comes from what we know that cities could be. Bringing the urban discipline and the urban world to bear on these problems is an imaginative and creative act.
These relationships are important from the hyperlocal to the globe.
If you don't project a future, you're not going to get there, right? You're counting on luck.
When we visualize, we're closer to creating those futures. And that is what we want for the Gulf.
So how do we, with all of our resources together, figure out what we want to see in the world, and then how do we help one another make it?
We're opening the door for artists and practitioners to come and interface with community. Then you're unleashing the creativity of the American people based in science. And that catalyst to help that reaction happen is the arts.